Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to Guys at Magic. This is Hunter, Steven, Shane, and David. Say what up, boys.
Yo, what's up?
What up, boys?
What up, nerd?
We are back. We are going to be doing our Commander Grades video for all of the Monocolored legendary creatures that are from the set of Dominaria United. We have a lot to talk about. Just kidding. Only 9 Monocolored creatures. So, I think we could just go ahead and jump straight into it, because there's not very much to talk about. So without further ado, let's jump straight into it with the white one. This is Danitha, Benalia's Hope. Danitha, Benalia's Hope is 4 and a white for a 4/4 legendary creature human knight. It has First Strike, Vigilance, and Lifelink. It also says, when Danitha, Benalia's Hope enters the battlefield, you may put an aura or equipment card from your hand or graveyard onto the battlefield, attached to Danitha. We'll start off with you, Steven. What do we think?
I'm thinking this is pretty solid, man. I'm not gonna lie to you. I mean, Voltron is always fun. I mean, granted, there are other cards that do it better, but I think this is kind of fun because I don't really know a lot of Voltron that does First Strike, Vigilance, and Lifelink, and that auto attaches shit basically as soon as you swing in. I'm sorry, not swing in, but when you enter the battlefield. And it can even be in your graveyard, so even if somebody destroys all your shit, you can still get it back.
You get one thing back.
Yeah, but
That's
last time I checked, and I could be wrong, white likes to flicker.
And once it flickers, it will be unattached to whatever you put on it.
Yeah, but there are other cards to free attach. Let's build around it. We always talk about it.
I think Steven actually brings a pretty good point there too, because I mean there are some auras and stuff that can trip, so flicker that, and then just like you can keep bouncing that aura back to just continue to draw cards.
I disagreed. I said it couldn't flicker.
Disagreed in past tense?
Yeah. I disagree. How about that?
Oh.
How about that? Better? Yeah, you're losing the auras. Like, especially if what Steven wants to do with the Voltron effect, just put pants on, just keep throwing a bunch of stuff on it. You flicker it, it only does it one time now. You lost all the other auras. It's not fun.
I mean, not necessarily. It'll re-ETV, and like you could grab that exact same aura that was already previously on it. I think it's like a use for like protection. Oftentimes the aura decks, like the problem that they have is whenever the enchanted creature dies, the aura goes away, but this like kind of saves that. It can still grab it from the graveyard.
This is a super selfish commander, my guy.
So Voltron is what you're trying to say?
Yeah, it's just selfish, dude. I'm
I
not
mean,
a selfish lover, dude.
What is it? Is it I forget the name of the card. I want to say it's Eldrazic Inscription. The aura that's like target creature gets like, or enchanted creature gets like +10/+10.
That's a card. It's a
Boom.
bummer that there's no evasion though, because a 1/1 blocks this.
Enchanted creature gets +10/+10, has trample and annihilator too.
Sounds like a good card to equip with this shit.
I think it could be okay.
I think it could be okay.
I mean, a 14/14 First Strike, Vigilance, Lifelink, Annihilator 2, and Trample sounds pretty weak, actually.
Yeah, you're saying a lot of words. You're saying a lot
What's
of
up?
words that I'm not excited about.
How about a Colossus Hammer?
I mean, yeah, you could do that too.
I mean, let's be honest. You're going to throw it all in there.
Yeah, it's all going to go into the deck. I don't think this card is bad. I do also agree with Steven's original point, though, that there are other commanders out there that do it better. I think that Bruna, Light of Alabaster, does it much better. She's only 1 more mana, and she grabs all auras.
Then play that one.
Then play that one.
That one does seem a lot better. Yeah, but let's move on to our grades for this one. We'll start with David. What are we giving it?
I think it's a C. I think it's like middle of the road. It's not like super impressive, but I also don't think it's a bad card.
Shane.
I'm gonna give it a C as well. Seems very average to me.
I'm gonna give it a D. I'm not a fan. Not a fan. 5 mana.
Oh man. I think since you went that low and we had 2 C's, might as well go a little higher. I'm gonna give this a B.
What difference does that make?
It makes a difference to my heart.
Okay. Well, this average grade here is gonna be a C. Moving on. Next card is Emperor Mihail II. Emperor Mihail II is 1 and 2 blue for a 3/3 legendary creature, Merfolk Noble. It says you may look at the top card of your library anytime. you may cast Merfolk spells from the top of your library. And whenever you cast a Merfolk spell, you may pay 1 if you do create a 1/1 blue Merfolk creature token. Merfolk, Merfolk, Merfolk. What do we think, David?
I mean, it's a good card. I like the card velocity that this thing gives. With you being able to draw those, or not draw those cards, but just be able to play from the top. I don't know if I'm super sold. I think that there's really stiff competition in mono blue, and I feel like I kind of would rather play a Simic deck if I'm going to be playing Merfolk, because I think that gives you a couple more options as well.
I mean, I kind of agree with David, but I think that the fact that this is not only Merfolk Tribal, which sounds really awesome, but you can pay 1 when you cast a Merfolk spell, which I'm sure you'll have some in the deck, and you create a 1/1 blue Merfolk creature token. And a lot of these Merfolks go off of how many Merfolks are on the field too. I think this is going to be pretty strong. Mono blue, say no. I think I don't know. This is pretty fun to me.
How about our blue player himself, Mr. Shane?
I mean, Steven's a blue player too, my guy.
Demir,
I think you're
Hey,
more
what's
blue
in
than me.
Demir? What's in Demir, Steve?
Steven, and it's black and blue.
Okay, this card does seem very fun, and again, we're just like in a vacuum, reiterating what everyone's saying. But there are probably better options. I think I said that in the spoiler. I was like, this looks awesome, but I'm sure that there are better options. This could probably be split in the 99, but I mean, as a commander, dude, it does a lot. It's got a lot of freaking text for 3 mana, so
A lot of freaking text.
I would play it, dude.
I
If
would
you're
too.
asking me would I play it, I'd play it.
Yeah, so Merfolk has a new friend, is what I wrote. It's pretty awesome. I really enjoy seeing new Merfolk cards being made. It's not usually a tribe that I usually run, but seeing more and more printed every year kind of makes me want to play it. Let's move on to the grades. I think we all reiterated the same stuff over and over. So let's see how we ranked it. I'll go and start first. I think this is a C. David, you hit it on the head. I think Simic just a little bit better.
Sweet. I'll go ahead and go next. I actually do like this card. I don't like. I wasn't trying to make it sound like it was bad by any means, but I do think that missing out on the green does kind of dock it a little bit. I would still give this a B just because of the card velocity. I mean, you could be playing a tribal deck and ripping from the top of the deck. Plus, Merfolk do a really good job of protecting other Merfolk.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and take the next one here. I'm gonna go with a B. This is a solid card. I do feel like there are other Merfolks out there that are good, but I think this is going to be a new staple at the helm.
At the helm, my guy.
Mm-hmm.
It's a good
I'm
card. I
saying it,
mean,
dude.
is it at the helm? Sure. You know what? Let's make it at the helm, dude. We're gonna stick with the B train.
Wah wah.
No, that's a Phyrexian Warhorse.
What a callback, dude.
Wah, wah.
Well, this average here is going to be a B. Next up, Braids, Arisen Nightmare. Braids, Arisen Nightmare is 1 and 2 black for a 3/3 legendary creature Nightmare. It says at the beginning of your end step, you may sacrifice an artifact, creature, enchantment, land, or planeswalker. If you do, each opponent may sacrifice a permanent that shares a card type with it. For each opponent who doesn't, that player loses 2 life and you draw a card. Shane, start us off.
I was gonna say you gotta go with Dave on this one first. Really, this is like, I know David might not think it's the best, but David loves doing shit like this. Okay, me. Okay, what do I think? What do I really okay? I'm just kidding. I I don't really ever play this kind of style of deck. I feel like it's very strong. I kind of cheated a little bit, and I've seen this deck in action on a couple other YouTube channels, and it went off. Like it had its time in the sun, and I don't think it won, but it caused a lot of havoc, and it looked really fun. So for that, I'm gonna say it looks fun.
I feel like that was a lot of words to say nothing at all.
I'm saying giving your opponent to choose whether or not to sack something is interesting and doesn't really seem all too strong. Like, it's kind of Ristic study-ish. Like, do you want to pay the 2? Do you want to sack your thing? Or let me draw a card? I don't know. It just seems, it doesn't have that oomph of forcing an opponent to do something they don't want to.
I don't think
And
this is the
that's-
deck that wants to force. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, Steven. I'll let you take it away.
No, I just feel like, I mean, I understand your point, Hunter, but at the same time, I feel like as a person that plays Athreos, God of Passage, this is the kind of deck that I love. Obviously, it's missing that the white aspect of it, but mono black loves to make you suffer, and it's not in it for the short game; it's in it for the long game. And the longer this card stays on the field, and the longer the game goes on, the more you're going to regret it. And I think that's where the power of this card comes in, because it might not seem like a lot because you're starting at 40 life, but the card draw that you can add into this, the reanimation that you add into the black, the board wipes you add in, I think this card's a lot stronger than you're giving it credit for, and I think this is going to see a shit ton of play.
I don't know what a board wipe would do to this, but
I'm just saying, like, if your opponents get out of hand, you can board wipe, and then you obviously have reanimation.
So, like, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna take this in a little bit of a different direction because I think that you guys actually kind of so far are looking at the card wrong, or at least Hunter. I'm gonna say I want to change your lens on this, okay? Because you're looking at it from the typical eye of like it's a mono black sack deck, right? You're gonna give your opponent the choice, but the choice here is you don't want them to sacrifice their things. So this is like a reverse of that. If they're not sacrificing, you're drawing cards. So like you're gonna build your deck in a way that's gonna really punish that sacrifice, or you're gonna start sacrificing things that they maybe don't have a whole lot of. So for example, one of these days, if it ever ends up making its way out there, I did do a deck tech for this deck, and it's primarily an artifact based deck. So you're gonna be sacrificing your artifacts, and if your opponents don't have a ton of those, if they're only really playing with like mana rocks, they're not going to want to sacrifice those things, which means you're drawing upwards of 3 extra cards per turn and pinging your opponents for 2. Like that card draw gets out of control very, very quickly.
Yeah, I think that's the strongest aspect of this card, is that it says each opponent.
Like this is a deck that if I'm playing this, I don't want to see you sacrifice things.
I feel you. I understand. And don't get me wrong, card draw is one of the most powerful things in Magic. You don't want to give your opponent a card draw, but you're still given the option to choose.
Unless you don't. If you sacrifice a permanent that they don't have that type of, they never get the choice.
Fair enough. But how often do you want to sack your stuff?
With this deck, you want to sacrifice every single turn. There's a ton of artifacts out there that do really, really powerful things for you whenever they do end up hitting the graveyard. There's a lot of them that go back and recur, and there's a lot of artifact themes that I built into like the deck tech. But no, I think that this deck actually does have like some very, very significant legs under it. And then there's also just the fact that it's mono black. You have those sacrifice effects. You could be playing things like Dictate of Erebos. That way you're further punishing your opponent. I don't know. This seems like a monstrosity. It's just going to sit across from the table and it's going to slowly just grind away at you.
Shane, did you want to change what you're saying earlier?
No, I don't give a shit about this card.
It's still fun.
Why wouldn't it be fun? David is making it sound even more fun.
No, I'm just saying. You said it's fun.
That's all. I mean, I don't. Yeah,
Okay. Well, I'm ready to move on to grades if you guys are.
let's do it.
I'm giving it a C. David, you hyped this card up. What are you giving it?
I'm going to give it a B. I don't think it's like over the top crazy. At the same time, I think the draw engine on it is if you let this thing get legs, you're going to be buried.
Ooh.
I'm gonna take those legs, and I'm gonna give it a B with those legs.
All right.
I don't know. That sounded better in my head.
He took my legs.
Steven, I'm gonna take your legs. I'm gonna throw them in the sea.
Lieutenant Dan,
I'm
Does
giving
that-
it
you
a
ain't
C.
got no legs.
I'm giving it a C.
Well, with Shane's C, that average still goes to the higher grade. That's a B.
Hell yeah.
Next up, another mono black card. This is Sheoldred, the Apocalypse. Sheoldred, the Apocalypse is 2 and 2 black for a 3/5 legendary creature, Phyrexian Braider. It's got Death Touch. It says whenever you draw a card, you gain 2 life. Whenever an opponent draws a card, they lose 2 life. David, start us off.
4 mana for a 4/5 with Death Touch is cute. I don't really think it's like anything crazy. The ability of like whenever you draw a card, you gain 2 life. I don't care about at all. It could not be stapled on this card, and it probably wouldn't change my mind on anything. Whenever an opponent draws a card, they lose 2 life. I think this thing is actually going to generate quite a bit of hate. There are a couple of cards out there that you can like one-shot somebody with, things like Peer into the Abyss, but uh, I think this is a card that you cast it, it's probably going to wheel around the table one time, piss everybody off, and then they're just going to use their removal to get rid of it.
I'll literally share the same hate for this card. I love it a lot. Don't get me wrong. This card is fucking just straight up awesome. I would love to play this, but at the same time, this is such a hate generator that I just feel like as soon as this comes out, it's automatically going to die, and you might get a turn around the table. You need so much protection.
Yeah, this is a really fun one to build around, I'd say. But I also wrote opponents have to deal with it faster than you think, because losing 2 life every turn is going to add up.
Mm-hmm.
Shane,
I think by principle, I'm supposed to hate this card.
why?
I made a stupid bet with David, and so this card cost me $100. So this card sucks, and I hope we never see it in play.
Oh man! In case anybody wants to know, the $100 bet was Sheoldred would be in this set. Shane said no. David said yes. $100 on the line. Obviously, you see the card in
Didn't say
front of you.
hey, I never said I'm a smart better. Okay.
All
You
right.
know, I think I might take that $100 and build a Sheoldred deck. That
I
way,
hope you
you're
do. I
forced to see it.
hope you waste that, dude. Please.
All right, moving on to grades. Steven.
B.
I'm right there with you. I'm giving it a B.
The more that I've thought about this card, and the more I think that just like the hate generation it
Oh
has,
no,
and
no,
the
no, no,
way
no.
that you have to build around this, I feel like this is a deck that like if she's in play, it gets to do its thing. If she's not in play, it's probably a deck that's not going to do anything at all. So I'm gonna say it's a C. If she survives, it's fine, but she's also a huge hate generator. So I don't know.
I knew that was gonna come.
My boy, dude. Let's go see, baby.
Once again, the average grade here goes to the higher grade. This is a B.
Thank God.
The final black card we're talking about is the Raven Man. The Raven Man is 1 in a black for a 2/1 legendary creature human wizard. It says at the beginning of each end step, if a player discarded a card this turn, create a 1/1 black bird creature token with flying, and this creature can't block. You can also pay 3 in a black and tap it. Each opponent discards a card. Activate only as a sorcery. David, start us off.
I love the fact that this is so cheap. 2 mana for a 2/1. Like the body isn't super impressive, but the fact that it only costs 2 means that this is a commander that's going to be in play essentially the entire game. Um, I'm not super sold on the like you're only going to make a single bird per turn, but it does still proc on your opponent's turns. So long as you have a way to make them discard a card on their turn, you can still make extra birds. And I mean, his ability can also kind of feed into that too. I think this card isn't great, but I do think he would be fun. And because he's so cheap, he's definitely going to come down early. And I don't know. I think you'll get value out of this more often than not.
I think this card's awful.
Uh,
Just making a 1/1 bird that can't block once a turn. That's it. Only if an opponent discarded a card. Seems
There's
not
4
great.
turns.
Sure. If you can play a spell or something that makes an opponent discard a card every turn on turn cycle, that is like I wrote discard tribal question mark. Don't think that's a thing.
What?
But
You're good
I
at
mean,
words
how
for
does
you,
it
dude.
feel to be so wrong?
no, I mean discard tribal with Turgrid, yes, 100%. But as far as just like making one bird, like it doesn't matter how many cards they discard, it doesn't matter how many opponents make you forced to discard. It's always just the one bird. It's
Yeah,
not.
you're the Raven Man.
It's not strong enough. Raven Man should have lots of ravens.
That would
Well,
be
he
the
will.
Ravens, man.
That's like
No,
the
that would.
ladies' man.
You know, it's funny that you say it's just one bird because I'm just going to read the effect of a card Whenever a creature you control deals combat damage to a player, that player discards a card from his or her hand. And if I'm reading this right, that could be at least 4 birds.
No, he only makes one.
1 bird per turn. If
Yeah.
people are discarding. Yeah. So sorry, at least 3 birds.
I'm
Not to
still not.
mention, I'm just saying, like, if you make 3 birds, you have the enchantment that does this. You attack. They have to discard at least 3 cards. I think the theme is just not just the birds, it's playing around the birds. I think the theme here is the fact that you are trying to get it to where your opponents are top decking. That's the strength in this card. That's the strength in mono black discard.
Sure,
I mean,
top decking.
I do agree. And then, like, if you are designing your deck to be playing around Hellbent, like, that's awesome. The birds also make for excellent equipment targets whenever it comes to things like Skull Clamp. So, like, you design your deck where you're going to bury them in card advantage, and then it doesn't matter if everybody's discarding their hand because you'll just have more cards. I'm still confused on how you're making 3 birds in a turn.
Sorry, I'm just saying, like, if it goes around the table and you make somebody discard, I'm not saying in one turn.
Okay.
I don't know. I'm not a fan. Shane, what do you think?
The card does seem cool. It'll stick around, like David said. Sorcery speed things, I hate. Everyone knows this. I don't know. It needs to do more. So, doing less equals bad, Hunter.
That's yes.
Does that make sense? Doing less
I
equals bad?
I completely agree with you.
Fuck yeah, dude.
Let's move on to the grade, Shane. What are you giving it?
I'll just give it a, hey, someone will make it work, right? Someone smarter than me. I'll give it a C.
Hmm.
Middle of the road, dude.
Steven?
I'm going to give it a B.
Wow, you were high on it, man.
I've been high on pretty much every card. I've given every card a B, I'm pretty sure, at this point.
I am giving this straight up a D. This is not a good card, in my opinion. And I'm sticking to it.
I'm not 100% sold on the ability. I do love 2-mana commanders, though. I'm going to go against my better judgment. I'm going to give it a C.
Boom.
You're saying your better judgment would have been a B?
It would have been. I'm very tempted, but I'm going to say it's a C.
With that, the average here is a C.
All alone again.
Next up, we have Rosnakht, Heir of Rohgahh. Rosnakht, Heir of Rohgahh is 1 red mana for a 0/1 legendary creature, Kobold Warrior. It has Battle Cry. In case you don't remember, it's whenever this creature attacks, each other attacking creature gets +1/+0 until end of turn. It also has Heroic, which means whenever you cast a spell that targets Rosnakht, create a 0/1 red kobold creature token named Kobolds of Care Keep. I kind of just wrote pump spells galore. That's kind of all this deck wants to do is just pump this guy as many times as you can. Create little 0/1s, and then when you swing in, they're just 1/1s at that point. Don't think that's good enough for mono red, however.
Why are we talking about this card?
Wow.
Because Hunter or because David's gonna make it sound amazing. You're gonna flip in 2 seconds, Steven. So relax.
I don't know. I'm not flipping on this, dude. There are cards that do this way better and are literally free.
It does seem weird though, like the so this has to attack and like what? This just gets blocked and dies, and I guess it's cheap, so you can keep recasting every time. That part seems weird to me.
No, I mean, like what Hunter said is like you use your pump spells on this guy, and then all of a sudden, whenever he attacks, he's no longer a 0/1.
Mm.
Because like he's making an army for you, and then you're swinging in with him, using all those pumps, and it's like, boom! All of a sudden, my commander's like a 7/8.
Got it. Well, Hunter did make that one stupid deck where he cast a bunch of spells on one card, and
That was
maybe that's why you like this deck.
That's not and these cards work very differently then. I will say, however, I'm very disappointed in Wizards here. This commander should have cost 0.
Yes.
It's a kobold.
yeah, it's a kobold. Okay, this one's special
Why is this one special?
because Rohgahh also costed something, and if this is the Heir of Rohgahh, then
No,
Yeah, you're
we're talking about
wrong.
the one from Modern Horizons because he's definitely 0. Or no, is it Commander Legends? Shit. Commander Legends.
No, we're talking about Rohgahh.
Yeah, we'll talk about him too.
Yeah, we'll talk about Rohgahh himself when we get to it in the multicolored review.
But until then, we can talk about this shitty Heir.
It's the Heir, man. He's little. Okay, he hasn't made it to that point yet.
Guys, it's 6:40 at this point. I'm not going to make it over to Shane's until at least like 7:20, 7:30. Let's hurry up.
Let's move on to the grades. David, what are you giving it?
It's a D. It functions. Not well. Should cost 0.
Yeah, I'm giving it a D.
D.
D all around, boys.
That is 4 Ds. Makes the average grade a D. Next up, we have another familiar face. This is Squee, Dubious Monarch. Squee, Dubious Monarch is 2 and a red for a 2/2 legendary creature, Goblin Noble. It has haste. It says whenever Squee, Dubious Monarch attacks, create a 1/1 red Goblin creature token that's tapped and attacking. Also, you may cast Squee, Dubious Monarch from your graveyard by paying 3 in a red and exiling 4 other cards from your graveyard rather than paying its mana cost.
No. Let's move on.
I mean, it's all pretty bad there, bud.
I will
Yep,
say,
pseudo escape clause makes this not playable.
yeah, the escape clause is never happening if this is your commander. It's always going to you just throw it back in the command zone. Why would you ever play it for escape cost unless it gets too expensive? But the effect of creating a 1/1 on attack is very minimal.
Or you can cast this in one of those decks I care about whenever you cast things from exile or something like that we are fueling that exile. I don't know. Those decks
That could be
typically
fun.
don't want the card already in exile, but I'm talking myself out of this even more, actually.
Shane, you got anything to say about Squee?
The other Squees are way better.
You're not wrong. Dubious Monarch is not very good.
All right, let's move on to grades.
D.
E.
Yeah, I'm going to give this a D just because it deserves an F, but it does something, so.
Say, why aren't you just giving it an F? It doesn't, like, we're not going to play this. So I'm going to give it an F.
All right, Shane. That average here is a D. Next up, we have Baru Wurmspeaker. Baru Wurmspeaker is 2 and 2 green for a 3/3 legendary creature human druid. It says worms you control get +2/+2 and have trample. You can also play 7 and a green and tap it to create a 4/4 green worm creature token. This ability costs X less to activate, where X is the greatest power among worms you control. Fun fact, Worm Tribal, there's 67 mono green worms. The more
Okay.
you know. So it is a very real tribe, apparently.
Okay.
I'm just going to go first because I know I'm just going to get shit on here, but I really like this card.
You like worms, dude?
I love worms.
He has
I've
worms.
I might have worms. I don't know. I've seen some decks made with this, and they seem really fun. And I think that this could be really cool. Is it super powerful? No. But fun.
I mean, think about World Spine Worm, dude. It's a 15/15 with trample, but it gets +2/+2 and trample. It doesn't matter about the second trample. Just big worms, dude. Big worms all around.
I love how you go with literally the most expensive option.
Hey, man. You could do Impervious Great Worm. It's another one, 16/16.
You know what you can't do, though? You can't play the one that looks like a penis from Return to Ravnica.
Yeah, that's bad.
That one has...
That's pretty bad.
It's green and white.
Yeah.
Why would you want to play worms if not for that card?
I mean, Dusktail Worm kind of looks like something.
Right, honey?
You never know, man. Dusktail Worm?
I think this card is actually like totally fine if you want to go off and play just a I guess more of a casual tribal. Like this is the kind of deck where I am like, all right, my opponent is playing Kraken tribal. This would be perfect to go up against them. This is not something that I want to sit down and my opponent is actually playing like something legitimate and real.
Did you just I feel like you just dug at me?
I have a question.
That was
Is-
unintentional.
Is Baru riding a worm or a dragon? Because it looks like a dragon.
I mean,
So-
wyvern, worm.
If I am correct in this, and please somebody correct me down in the comments, I'm pretty sure the worms in Magic, the WURM, are supposed to be like dragons that have had their wings removed.
I want to say that
It's
is
like
correct.
it's like the evolution of them.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I think I just saw this card. Sorry, so I wanted to talk about it. But Pan Glacial Worm. When you're searching your library, you may play Plant Glacial Worm from your library. That's pretty cool.
So you
Oh.
fetch,
Cool.
play a worm. I mean, the commander feeds into himself, so he makes your worms bigger. They have trample, and then his ability is like incredibly expensive the first go around. But as soon as you get a worm in play, it's pretty cheap.
Very cheap.
I mean, dude,
Fan.
even if you have some like really low cost like changelings,
Fuck that shit, dude. If I'm going worm travel, we're going big smashy.
Big smash, like I just said at the beginning. But let's move on to the grades. David, what are you giving it?
I'm gonna give it a C. I don't think it's super powerful. I do think that I agree with Steven though. It could be fun.
I'm going to jump on board with you. I agree. It's going to be super fun. I'm giving it a C.
yep. And because it is fun, I'm gonna give it a B.
Whoa. It's going to stay a C, Steven.
I know.
So that average there is a C. Moving on to the final green card. This is ironically called Greensleeves. Greensleeves Maro-Sorcerer. Greensleeves Maro-Sorcerer is 3 and 2 green for a star legendary creature elemental. It's got protection from planeswalkers and from wizards. It also says its power and toughness are equal to the number of lands you control. And whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, create a 3/3 green badger creature token. Badger. Steven, start us off.
I mean, it's pretty fun. It's mono green.
I
Wow.
love your input. I'm
Yeah.
gonna go ahead and real quick. I am so grateful that they printed a card like this. For 5 mana, you get a creature with protection from planeswalkers. This thing is broken.
Mm.
Like all of my opponent's planeswalkers cannot target this.
That
I
is
just don't
true.
feel like. I mean, I don't know. Maybe I just play in a high magic level game. I don't really see a lot of planeswalkers that often, unless I play like against Super Friends. But
Oh, I'm being very sarcastic here, by the way. I think that part of
Oh.
the card is flavor text.
I
This
was
card
like-
is absolutely fucking nuts, dude. The landfall trigger, if you make a 3/3.
Yeah.
all
This
the
is-
fetches, dude.
This is only going to get bigger and bigger as the game goes on. You keep putting more lands down.
It's like a little Omnath.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Nom, 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 nom.
This goes into any land manners deck as well. I like it, aka Lord Windgrace. Hello.
Ring, ring, ring.
But-
Hello.
But as a commander itself, this is fantastic. I love this card.
I could see you playing this, Hunter. Yeah. This is perfect. It does everything you want to do, bro. Go get a bunch of lands, make it big, create shit when you play the lands. Like, hello?
I know. I love
Should I
that.
reread the card for you, dude?
I love how
It's a
there's
big
no.
star.
Dude.
There's
It's a
nothing
big
that.
star.
There's nothing that limits this from only triggering once per turn or sorcery speed. It's great. It does everything I want to.
I think you should build a
Green-
Hunter.
Green sleeves and put it in green sleeves.
Nope. Gotta play it not Greensleeves.
That's sacrilege.
No. It's a mind game up against your opponent. You show up with mono, like all red sleeves. They're never gonna expect a forest.
You might be right on that one. Let's move on to the final grades here. I'm starting us off. I'm giving it a B. Big fan.
Big fan B. I'm going B as well. Because I'm a
Fancies.
big fan.
Oh. I guess we're just gonna go beer on the table. I mean,
Yep. B.
B, 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 B. But yeah, so that average grade for green sleeves is a B. But that's going to do it for the monocolored legendary creature cards from Dominaria United. Those are our grades. Let us know in the comments section down below if you agree or disagree with the grades. Maybe you're on someone's side. Maybe you're definitely against someone else's side. David. But yeah, let us know. While you're down there, hit the like button. If you like this video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Make sure you're subscribed because we're coming out with all kinds of content. Expect deck techs and upgrades and other commander grades and all sorts of stuff in the future. Don't forget to follow us on our Instagram and Twitter. That is at GuysThatMagic, where we post different things all the time. And until the next video, hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Peace.
Bye bye.
Hasta luego.
Bye.